Story 1. Someone taking care of you when you were sick. When we were kids, my mom would make us a blanket nest on the couch and let us watch The Price is Right. She would bring us Verner's and make us grilled cheese. I did not appreciate having someone fuss over me at the time. Story 2. Ordinary days of my childhood. I would come home after school, and my mom had already prepared dinner. She would always ask how my day went, and I would happily tell her everything. After dinner, I would go to my room, do my homework, then get dressed, do my makeup, and head out to meet my friends. We spent our time carefree and joyful, talking, laughing, just enjoying the moment and feeling truly happy. When I came back home, we would chat with my parents about the day, and in my room, I would often watch my older brother immersed in computer games, while my younger brother was busy building something out of Lego. At night, I would go to bed, knowing that tomorrow would be another day filled with fun and adventure, and the only problems were how to pass a math test. I miss those days. Story 3. For me, it's definitely the long summer afternoons with no real responsibilities. I remember just sitting outside with friends, playing games, or doing absolutely nothing but feeling totally content. Back then, it seemed like time stretched on forever, but now it feels like there's never enough time to just relax and enjoy the little things. I miss that feeling of freedom without the pressure of work or deadlines. Story 4. As kids, we had a big garden to play in. Now I live in a city, and I actually feel sad for my kids as their childhood is half over, and they have never had a chance to run around freely unless we take them to a park. Story 5. I don't think you really understand until it's well and truly gone how amazing it was that your day had 2 structured breaks from mental stimulation where you got kicked outside to play basketball or soccer with your friends for 15 minutes to help you keep your focus. Story 6. Discipline. You do not always have people around you as an adult who can keep you in check. Or, if they do, it is because they are leaving your life instead of giving you another chance. Story 7. I miss thinking of all adults as mature and responsible. It's kind of distressing realizing how so many adults are really just large older children. Even more distressing when you realize these people are police officers, judges, and somehow even doctors. The world was a far less scary and distressing place when I was ignorant. Story 8. Many people do not realize how special certain aspects of childhood are until they grow up. For instance, the simple joy of having no major responsibilities and the freedom to spend days playing and exploring. Time seemed endless back then, and the biggest worries were often about what games to play or what adventures to have next. Another thing that tends to go unappreciated is the comfort and security of having meals prepared by someone else. As adults, we often have to cook for ourselves or others, and the effort that goes into planning, shopping, and cooking becomes much more apparent. Story 9. Not having to worry about bills, taxes, or finding a job. As a kid, I thought being an adult was just playing with cool gadgets and eating candy whenever. Story 10. Not being constantly scheduled or constantly having something that needs doing. I loved those Saturdays when I got up, watched cartoons, went outside for a bit, went over to the neighbor's house to hang out, came in and did some artwork or coloring, ate dinner, took a bath, and went to bed, all without a single care in the world. Sigh. Story 11. Everything gets fixed and replenished without you ever knowing it. You never have to consider replacing the kitchen faucet or buying more paper towels. It's just done automatically when you're a kid. Story 12. Totally get it, especially the sleep and carefree days. A friend of mine always says she misses the simplicity of just coming home to a warm meal without stress. It's wild how much we took for granted back then. Appreciate those small things when you can. Story 13. Having 2 parents continuously married to each other, who were not abusive, not poor, and highly educated. I know that there are some people who have divorced or never married parents who grew up in poverty, whose parents are uneducated, and who were abused, who are still able to be happy, educated, and capable of having long-term friendships and romantic relationships. I am not that strong or smart. If I had parents who were abusive, divorced, never married, poor, or uneducated, I would have ended up as a statistic. I am successful not because of any of my own personal qualities, but because of my superb upbringing. Had I grown up under less than perfect conditions, I would have ended up on drugs or as a pregnant teen committing theft, getting into fights, dropping out of high school, and being on welfare. Story 14. My Hess truck Christmas gifts in the 60s. I destroyed them every year with firecrackers, cherry bombs, and M80s. Now I wish I still had them, not for the value, but so my great-grandchild could enjoy them. Story 15. Total freedom. Yeah, we got bored sometimes living in a small town, but we went on so many adventures, being able to freely explore with no technology to track us. I found out my city and suburbs friends often didn't leave home unless their parents gave them a ride somewhere before their teenage years. We were exploring in grade school. Story 16, school, especially field trips. How awesome would it be to show up at work and be told there's no work today, we're going to the zoo or a museum. Instead, we get safety and human resources meetings. And I kind of miss physical education. I wasn't the most athletic kid, but I was never picked last. Or just playing horse in a gym. Story 17. My parents were willing to sacrifice a significant amount of time for my interests. I took up martial arts at age 6, and it became a significant part of my life. I had classes 2 to 4 times a week, which was a substantial time commitment on its own. On top of that, we moved out of the city I grew up in when I was about 10 years old, and then my dojo moved to the opposite end of the city, so it became roughly a 1 to 1.5 hour drive, depending on traffic and road conditions, to get to and from class. My mother would dutifully pick me up from school on training nights, drive me into town, grab dinner at a fast food place, then drop me off at class. My dad, who worked a full-time 8 to 5 job, would stay in town late and wait until class was over at about 8:30 to 9 o'clock, before picking me up and driving me home. On those days, he was leaving the house around 7 a.m. and not getting home again until past 10 p.m. I really didn't appreciate how much of a sacrifice that was until I got older, and I will forever be grateful for it, particularly as I'm still in martial arts. I run my own school now, and I served as the president of a North American federation for the better part of a decade. It did, however, make it clear to me why they were pushing so hard for me to get my license when I turned 16. Story 18. As a child, learning is often seen as an obligation rather than a privilege. But over time, you begin to realize how valuable it is to have someone to guide and support you in learning and growing. Story 19. Sleep. My mom used to tell me that I should take advantage of having a lot of time to take naps and sleep. I didn't like my afternoon naps before because I would rather play. Story 20. How clever my mom was in getting us enough food to eat. Like we joined so many churches for their new patrons' lunches, and they would give us stuff afterwards. We learned how to hunt and forage for food together, and my mom made it fun, not scary. Food banking too. The way she made getting food and ensuring we wouldn't go hungry a fun thing is amazing. Story 21. Just having clean laundry when I opened the closet or dresser, and food just appearing in the house. The house always being clean even though there were 5 kids in the house. The majority of the housework, shopping, and related tasks were done while we were at school, and my parents never complained, so it just seemed like magic. Story 22. Spankings. Last time I answered this question in this way, it was deleted by moderators for promoting violence. Please don't delete this. I know kids aren't supposed to be spanked. I get it. Story 23. Everyone cares about you. Once, we had a car accident and everyone checked on my 8-year-old cousin, but no one checked on me. That made me realize, oh, because I am not a child anymore. Story 24. Just how much my parents deeply loved me and sacrificed so much to give me this life I love. They aren't perfect and I'm messed up, but damn, they did their best. And that's beautiful. Story 25. The fact that my parents raised us on mostly whole foods such as protein, vegetables, and potatoes with treats sparingly. My parents took me on so many trips. At the time, I was annoyed and wanted to just go to the beach and stay there for days, but thanks to them, I have been to 48 states and lots of different countries. I feel bad that my kids don't have the same experiences, but it's expensive. Story 26. When I was a child, my dad built power lines. I lived all over in 18 states. It was tedious always being the new girl. However, I saw some beautiful places and learned geography and history. I appreciate that now. Story 27. Can I ask sincerely what kind of insanely privileged childhoods you all had that supposedly involved no responsibilities? You didn't have school, homework, chores, extracurricular activities? You just got knowledge beamed into your head like the Matrix and spent all day frolicking? Story 28. Freedom to do nothing at all. When I quarantined for COVID-19, I managed to get 3 months paid time off. I realized I would never experience that again in my adult life and lived my laziest life in those 3 months. Wake up, have coffee and get high, game, nap, watch YouTube, Reddit, and WorldStar every day. It was amazing. And because of all the time I had to cook meals at home, I also lost 10 pounds. It was an interesting time, like being free but with a looming sense of constant fear and doom sprinkled on top. Story 29. Visiting my grandparents in another state every summer instead of fun vacations like Disney or travel. As an adult, I would love to be able to spend time with them again. Story 30. My mother cooked all kinds of different food, so I learned a lot of new flavors during my youth. She also took me to museums, which I did not appreciate at the time, but now I am happy she did. On Sundays, she played a lot of classical music, which I am really grateful for, as I learned to listen to it. Story 31. Museums and the like. Those kinds of culturally expanding trips are wasted on little kids. I remember it was so boring as a kid, but now I can appreciate it and have a deep fascination for it. Story 32. Feeling safe at school. Of course, there's always bullies and accidents, especially in gym, but as a new mom, I am absolutely horrified hearing that kids now have to do active shooter drills and grow up with the idea that they might get harmed while trying to learn. I grew up in the Midwest, United States, and tornado drills were pretty traumatic or at least alarming to a little kid. Story 33. My dad's unconditional love. I screwed up constantly. I read a lot of stories about people being disowned by parents for things pretty mild compared to my stupidity, but he never threw me out even though it probably would have made his and mom's life better. Story 34. I miss my mom being alive. I don't miss a whole lot from my childhood otherwise. A lot of people say not paying bills, but as an adult, I'm thankful to be able to do what my parents sometimes couldn't. Paying bills is a luxury to me, and being able to control that part of my life means that another adult can't mess it up for me. I won't wake up one morning without electricity because I'm able to pay the bill. I have so many luxuries in so many ways compared to my childhood. I don't miss the control other people had over me either just because I was a kid. Some people can be cruel and unfair to kids. I'll take adulthood any day of the week. Story 35. My mom made home-cooked meals from scratch for dinner, and then we ate those meals at the dining table. She knew what she was doing, and she was doing it right. Story 36. Falling asleep in the back seat of the car while my parents drove home late at night. It was in the days when seatbelts were new and often ignored, and my father drove a Lincoln Continental, whose back seat rivaled a modern sofa. What a secure feeling. The gentle rocking of the car, the murmur of them whispering in the front, while staring at the moon from the comfort of my pillow and flannel pajamas. Story 37. The rain. When I was a kid and it used to rain heavily, all the kids would come running out of their houses. We would splash water on each other and go to the park that would get flooded with water, our own water park. I would wish that it would rain because I knew all of us would come out to play. Now as an adult, I know if it rains I'll get sick or get stuck in traffic. It's been years since I got drenched in the rain. Oh well, it is what it is. Story 38. My parents made me study way more than most of my peers. But now I can basically learn any skill I want at a reliable pace. Thankful because I definitely would not have chosen to do so as a kid. Story 39. Zero responsibility. This means I didn't care about what was happening tomorrow or what I messed up yesterday. I was strictly in the moment and super happy. Then life started. Story 40. I'm not an adult yet, but I'm so thankful my parents are supportive of me studying, that they pay the bills, cook me food, buy me things, and give me privacy and freedom. They're not perfect. I have a great relationship with my mom, with my dad not so much, but I'm still thankful to have them with me, and I try to make sure they know it. Story 41. The time I had with my Yaya and Papu. They are no longer here, and they would give me good advice. They really shaped the man I became. I miss them every day. Story 42. Bills to pay, but honestly, I don't mind paying my bills if it means being free to make my own decisions. 37 here and grandmother of 3 already. Story 43. The countryside. My paternal grandparents lived in a rural backwater village just outside a city. I hated it as a child because of how quiet it was and how it was only the elderly. Now I miss it so much. They have constructed roads near the village as a route to the city. There is a resort built in the next village with a golf course and upscale villas. And the kind elderly people are gone. Story 44. Thinking love could be around every corner, not realizing that the people you lose in this life take a part of your soul that you cannot get back. Both the living and dead. Story 45. Golf. It was boring when I was a kid, and I had so many chances to play. Now, as an adult, I love the time with friends for a few hours attempting to not totally fail. Story 46. Sleep, time, and structure. I never sleep well anymore because of body pain and too much to do. As I age, time seems to go faster and faster, whereas as a kid and in my teens and early 20s, the day felt long. Now I try to sit for a small break, and suddenly I have no time left for anything. Structure was unexpected, but honestly, having school and sports to go to and be a repetitive thing every day that I had to do made life a lot easier and also made me more disciplined overall.